Hey everyone, AMD is on the cusp of benefiting from the rising effectiveness of artificial intelligence. Its rival, Nvidia, has already thrived as a result of AI. AMD launching its own chip recently, which is poised to gain market share as customers look to diversify away from Nvidia, even if AMD's chip is not as competitive to Nvidia. Now, where could AMD's stock price be by 2030 is an interesting thought to consider, which is what I'll do in this video. I'll look at AMD's prospects and answer where I think AMD's stock price will end up by the end of 2030. So let's get into this interesting experiment.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.
All right, so one of the numbers I'm going to need to make this estimation, this stock price prediction for AMD stock, is its forward price to earnings ratio. As of this recording, AMD stock is trading at a forward PE of 32.68. I also need AMD's current stock price. Right now, AMD is trading at a $179 per share price. That's going to be something we're going to use to compare the valuation for 2030. All right, I'm also going to need AMD's earnings per share outlook. So right now, for 2025, analysts on Wall Street that are following AMD stock, they expect it will deliver $5.47 in earnings per share for 2025. You can see that's a big increase from the $3.62 they expect in 2024. Interestingly, AMD's prospects for 2025 have been rising significantly. 90 days ago, analysts on Wall Street thought it was going to deliver $5.08 in 2025. Now they're up to $5.47. And I wouldn't be surprised if this number moves higher still as analysts continue upgrading AI stocks and their earnings prospects given the soaring demand to implement AI technologies. I also need AMD's next 5 years earnings per share growth estimate, which as of this recording, analysts on Wall Street think it's going to grow its earnings per share by 24.96% for the next 5 years. I'm going to use this number to forecast AMD's earnings per share for 2031 because I'm going to use the forward price to earnings ratio. I need the EPS estimate for the year 2031. All right, so now that I've pulled together all the numbers that I'm going to need to make this estimate, let me first draw your attention to the bottom left-hand side here. The EPS of $5.47, remember I got from the Yahoo Finance estimate collection of the consensus estimate among Wall Street analysts following AMD stock. Similarly, that's where I got the 24.96% growth rate for the next 5 years. Now, I'm going to apply that growth rate for 6 years, but the estimate was for 5. So I'm extending the estimate 1 year, okay? But I want to make you aware so you can be aware of how I'm making these estimates and forecasts, and so you could come to your own conclusion if this forecast, this stock price prediction is too optimistic or too pessimistic. All right, so applying that growth rate for 6 years, I get an earnings per share for 2031 for AMD at $20.83. All right, so now I can draw your attention to the top right-hand corner where I have the stock price prediction. So if AMD's earnings per share come in at $20.83 for 2031, and its price to earnings forward stays at 32.77, the stock price could rise to $682.48. Now remember, AMD stock is currently trading at $179 per share, so that would be a more than tripling of the current stock price. AMD stock investors would certainly be happy with that return on investment. And it goes to show the power of long-term investing, the power of compounding your investment. A more than tripling of your investment is a solid return, to be sure. But what if the forward PE falls, actually, instead of staying the same? What if it falls to 27? Well, then your stock price could increase to $562 per share from $179, still a solid return on investment. Even if the PE were to fall to 22, that would entail the stock price more than doubling to $458 per share. And even if the PE were to fall all the way to 18, the stock price would still rise up to $374 per share. So in all these scenarios, AMD's stock price is increasing meaningfully over the next 5 years. Now, that's because the earnings per share is rising by so much over that time. It's hard to imagine a stock price not increasing when it has earnings per share growth of 25% per year for 5 to 6 years. That's the key. That's the fundamental cause that will force the stock price to increase. Now, if earnings per share do not increase by that much, that's where the stock price will be in trouble, is if earnings per share don't rise. As long as earnings per share are rising by at least 20%, then AMD stock price is likely to grow meaningfully over the next 5 to 6 years. The key is the earnings per share growth. That's what drives increases in the stock valuation. So, given all these different scenarios, which one do I think is most likely? I would say somewhere between the 22 forward PE and 27 forward PE. I would say closer to a stock price of between $450 per share and $500 per share by 2030, between 450 and 500. And the lower expectation here, I'm estimating, is going to come from a combination of a lower PE and a lower earnings per share. I'm not convinced that AMD's earnings per share will grow by 25% for the next 6 years. I think it'll grow by a little bit less than that. And I also think the forward PE could come down a bit as we progress in the AI market and as the rate of growth starts to decrease. Over the next 3 years, the AI market is going to grow rapidly, but I think that rate of growth is going to settle down. I still think the AI market is going to grow significantly, right? The estimates suggest that it's going to reach a market opportunity of $2 trillion, up from roughly $200 billion in 2023. But I think after this next 3 years, it's going to surge in the next 3 years, and then the rate of growth is going to slow down. And with a slower growth rate, I think that's going to bring down the valuation multiple for AMD stock, because it's not solely in AI stock. It's still got significant exposure to the PC market, which is growing at a much slower pace than the AI market. So for all those reasons, I'm a little bit not expecting this level of growth, but still, I'm bullish on AMD stock. In fact, I have AMD stock rated among my top 24 stocks to buy in 2024, which, if you want to see that video, I'll link to it at the end of this one. So if you want to see my full list of top 24 stocks, you could click on the link at the end of this video. Before I let you go, let me tell you about the greatest deal on YouTube. With just a click of a button, you can get free financial analysis from a professor with decades of investing experience. So what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you again soon.